Welcome to Naples Garage. A fantastic news. It has finally happened. I've been waiting for this moment for so long. Tyler does not want the ID Buzz anymore. Thank you.
Nope.
Thank you for coming to your senses.
I had ordered one new. I'd put down a deposit, forfeited the deposit.
Yep.
No, because it was
How much was the deposit?
It was $1,000.
And how long ago did you put it down?
Oh, about a year ago.
Okay.
And then the price came out for like 80 grand.
Right. Did you know that when you put the deposit down?
No, we didn't know pricing exactly. Yeah. And I assumed it was going to be like a $50,000 van. No. So anyway.
Do you get that deposit back?
I didn't ask.
Yeah.
Because it was for me to be first in line to get it.
Right.
So,
well, it's a good thing because there's
maybe I should ask.
You should.
Well, yeah, what you're saying is why I don't want it now.
Well, so there's a new video going around changing the cabin air filter. Seems to be a bit of a thing. It takes quite a long time.
They took a page from Bentley or Bugatti, which is in the Volkswagen family, as far as the complication of it. So, yeah, you look at this video of them changing the cabin air filter. And first of all, I didn't know opening the hood involved like grabbing the VW logo and just pulling it down as far as to just like top off fluids, which is pretty cool. But then you see the process.
Right.
They're unplugging electrical connections. Yes. They're unbolting things. They're taking the fenders off. They're taking the whole nose off the car to take all these extra accessories out of the way to reach a filter.
Do you think
a cabin air filter?
The engineers just kind of forgot and messed up and said, oh, well, let's just push it out. It needs to get out? Because this seems like a big deal, because usually they're very easy to change.
These are painted panels that you don't want to set on the ground.
Right.
And they're having to take all this stuff off for something that's supposed to be replaced every year, every 2 years, something like that. So they're trying to make the ID Buzz into the Bugatti Veyron and have like a $20,000 a year service. No, it's not going to be that much. But there's already so few like maintenance items on an electric car.
Yeah.
As far as like, the days of changing your oil every 3 months or 3,000 miles is way behind. Like a thing of the past, because now you go 5, 6, 10,000 miles at your own peril, depending on the auto manufacturer.
Right.
But all this to reach
I feel like would be impossible is if you're doing it over and over again. I'm going to chip a body panel. I'm not going to plug something back in. And then it's going to cause so many other issues down the line because it's such a huge process to do this.
Right. It is stupid. And once I saw that, I was like, oh, this is not good.
Not good.
Not good. I don't really want one. I mean, I want a tube to fight or whatever, I suppose, when then we could just make fun of it when it's depreciated and cheap.
No. There's not going to be an ID Buzz entering this garage.
You're not going to ride in it?
At all.
You're not going to be seen in it?
They did what they should have done with that classic VW design in the front.
They can't.
That gorgeous, and the safari windows, at least as an option. Like, it doesn't look like the old school throwback.
They can't do a flat nose because it's deadly.
But you can still do the design on it. The two-tone, the color design on the front with that V and the huge logo right in the center. That's what I'm missing.
I thought it was a pretty good modern interpretation of it, but I suppose it is. I mean, this TikTok video, which is condensing it, is still going as far as this guy fixing it, which is so. It's been a sales failure. It hasn't been like the Halo car that everybody's getting excited about, that Volkswagen hoped it was going to be, because they priced it out of everybody's. Okay, the range was the big problem. So it's 200 miles or something like that. Very, very low range. And then they priced it for like the fancy one for $80,000, $90,000. The cheapest ones for $50,000, $60,000 or whatever. And everybody just thinks that's stupid.
Why
and they've moved on.
Why do you think they priced it so high? Were they excited coming off maybe Cybertruck vibes and over MSRP asking for that for the Bronco when that happened? I think they were anticipating a lot of nostalgia and people buying on nostalgia and all that stuff.
And there was a small pool of people wanting a futuristic Cybertruck. There was a pretty big pool of people that wanted Broncos. But those buyers have dried up.
Sure.
And it turns out the market for people wanting a retro van to relive their hippie days when they were kids or whatever is even smaller, especially when they're spending $80,000.
Well, and maybe it was a little, because that isn't like, we might be in that buyer's market and that generation that grew up with those vans. Maybe they're a little older and they wouldn't want to.
But they're not buying them. Like the sales were under 2,000 for a quarter or something like that. It's first, production as far as its first full
what I'm saying is that generation that grew up with them and the hippie generation, they're, I don't know, 70, 80 years old. Do they want something like this? I don't think so.
I suppose with the Volkswagen van continued in different versions in the 70s and 80s and all that stuff, and kids were still buying them and buying them used in the 80s as far as like just junky vans to live out of it as a surf wagon, you know. I mean, Rick DeBrule is one of them. He's not that old, the guy we worked with at Barrett Jackson, and he had them used as hoopties growing up.
And we do sell a lot of them at Barrett Jackson, and they're gorgeous, and they look nothing like this.
And they bring big money.
The original, you know.
So enough people like them to where a proper 22 window, or is it 23 window? 23 window can bring $150,000. So yeah, 23 counting the thing. Anyway, yes. So this one's probably going to go down on the list of duds. I have to go through and prove that I'm not a bot apparently on your computer.
I still think you might be. You're not normal.
So I thought, is this going to join the biggest automotive flops of all time in the last 30 years? And this article is from 5 years ago, so it'll probably be updated a little bit as far as the Fisker Ocean and some other cars that haven't existed, you know, didn't exist, you know, September 2020 when this article was published. Like there's a lot that has joined this. But I'm curious, is the ID Buzz going to be as bad as some of these?
Yes,
so they start with the Aptera Motors 2E, which I really had never heard of. I guess there was a driving example, but this is when electric cars are sort of in their infancy, I feel like.
But that looks like it's going to fly. It's going to take off somewhere.
Right. But nowadays, we have like 30 failed electric car startups.
Right.
This might have been one of the first. That's why they're talking about it, one of the most recent. But the Buick Cascadia is on this list, which who wants, you know, a rebadged Opel convertible as a Buick? Apparently nobody. But I feel like this car is sort of forgotten, but definitely a big thud.
It's just a very generic looking car. There's nothing special fancy about this. I'm going to throw up.
The Chevy SSR is considered
a
thud. I had one. I mean, they came out and it was based on the Trailblazer chassis, and they started with a 5.3. The truck engine, so not the best performance. They tried to fix it midway through with the LS engine. Too little, too late. I mean, the truck bed wasn't usable, so it really wasn't much of an El Camino.
I appreciate the convertible the hot rod throwback, and you're trying to bring the nostalgia back, but it's just a total miss for me.
If they had made it somewhat usable as a truck, they probably would have done better. Or if they had made it a really fun performer right off the bat, like handled better, not on a Trailblazer chassis that and didn't really sharpen things up very much, and then it would have done better. But they screwed it up.
They didn't make it ugly.
And the XLR's on here.
I love these. But when this was written, I can see why they would place it on here. But now in 2025, I think that's a sexy car.
The XLR was a big flop, though. I mean, it didn't sell well. They canceled it early.
Right.
The XLR-V was almost $100,000. That's the one I just bought for $10,000.
And they only made what, like 2,000?
Like 2,000 of them, and just a couple of model years before they canceled it. So it's definitely a flop. Definitely. The Chevrolet Tahoe hybrid, which is funny. Everybody's forgotten about these mild hybrid systems.
I love it. It says hybrid huge right there.
They did the Yukon and they did the Escalade hybrids, and they are goofy, and they have they're horrible reliability. They're very expensive. They didn't add much MPG, like maybe I think 5 more in the city or whatever.
That's pretty good.
But you'd never get that money back as far as how much of a premium they were, and they did not sell well, and they didn't hold up very well.
What is this?
The Chrysler Aspen and the Dodge Durango hybrids on this list as well, but I think the Chrysler Aspen itself is one that is a total flop. Making a Durango.
I want that right now. That is so. I've never seen that.
They made a Durango with a fancy Chrysler nose, and they put the little grooves on the hood.
Yeah, the ribbing for.
And there was one time we were in Colorado, and I was, I don't know, college age, and this was our rental for the family trip to the mountains. We made it 20 miles. This thing was brand new. We were its very first renters, and the transmission exploded on the way to the ski cabin. And there was a trail. My dad.
Mr. Hoover.
I mean, it was slipping and barely going. And by the time we got there, it didn't even make it to the parking stall, and there was a trail of fluid leading up because it had just completely shelled. So the quality on these things was pretty low, but
that is wild that happened to a brand new car.
Brand new.
That you're renting.
Chrysler Aspen, definitely a big fail. The Chrysler TC by Maserati, which is interesting they go that far back, which,
That's pretty cool, actually.
having a LeBaron badge as a Maserati with a fancy leather interior and all that stuff like this.
Is it Corinthian leather?
It was so stupid. They made 7,000 of them. They had turbo engines. They were so much more expensive than the LeBaron that they were based on. And you get a LeBaron with a fancy interior and some Maserati badges. It was
yeah, but if you saw one of those today, you're totally buying it.
Oh, it's cool. No, I've been offered several of these. Like it's a 4-cylinder turbo. You could get them with a stick. They have some Italian heritage, like some cool touches to them. But for what they were wanting new, it was absolutely insane. Next up is the Coda, which I never heard of this one. Coda Automotive. They delivered 100 of these, so 100 people bought them. But they were electric, and this is one of those other electric car failures, I suppose.
Right.
But yeah, $40,000 for this thing from China, electric car.
Right, I want the range. No, doesn't say the range either.
No, but it's interesting to see, like back in 2020, there wasn't all these electric startups yet.
Right.
Like, and so like these failures were a big deal. Now we're just like, oh yeah, that company's not going to make it. You know?
Or even these hybrid cars are really neat to see. Oh,
Fisker Karma is another one on this list, which I had. That was a nightmare.
Right.
Fisker came back again and blew it again. So definitely a car on this list as far as it was a plug-in hybrid. It was beautiful. It was a great idea, but
well, and
poorly
I will
executed.
say about when these are out somewhere, people are giving them double looks. They're circling around them, asking questions, so they're eye-catching.
Yes,
still.
They are beautiful. They're powered by a 4-cylinder Ecotec, you know, a Chevy Cobalt engine and batteries. It's strange, but yeah, the Ford Think is on here.
Jake would totally buy this.
The Ford
Do you know what it
Think.
is? It's really cute. The Ford here, Jake. It's so cute. It's just a little, it's like your...
Oh, yeah, those are plastic.
Yeah. The Ford Think, which was an exclamation point for the eye. So they're trying to be very cute, a little city car with a range of 50 miles.
That's it.
That's it.
Ooh,
it's such a dud that I don't even remember this. I don't remember it at all. The GM EV1 is, you know, pretty
Doesn't
famous.
Jake have this car outside right now?
No, that's his Honda Insight. But the EV1 is pretty famous for, you know, apparently oil companies, the big three or whatever, conspiring to kill this car. Who Killed the Electric Car is a big documentary where we were going to see like a mainstream EV car almost 30 years ago, and it made sense, and they leased out a number of these just as a test, and then forced everybody to give them back at the end of the lease, and then destroyed them because they did not want, you know, they did not want an electric future back then.
Why
apparently.
would they destroy them?
Because they wanted this to just quietly go away.
Okay.
So it's a flop, but I feel like it's an induced flop. But who knows? The Envoy XEV is interesting that they put this on here because it was like the rear convertible folds down into a truck bed, but then it's like kind of a 3-row SUV. Very odd that they put like an offshoot of the Envoy, which was a big success in here, as it was just like a stretched different model that looked kind of ugly. But interesting one, that's for sure.
That's them trying, like with your Avalanche, you know, they're trying to kind of make something new, and people were into that.
The Avalanche was a hit though, but it was more expensive than the Silverado, and they just chose not to refresh it. But yeah, the Jaguar X-Type is on here, which, you know, I definitely get it because it's supposed to, you know, this was a Ford-based Jaguar where they're redoing, like the Ford Contour into a Jag, and everybody just could tell. So yeah, not the best offering from Jaguar ever. Definitely a big flop. The Lincoln Blackwood is another one.
I love these. These are amazing.
The original one, which was definitely a major flop, and making a luxury pickup truck makes a lot of sense.
Do they have barn doors on the back? Or
yes, but making the truck bed into an unusable fabric thing with a cover and a folding door where you wouldn't even...
talking crap, but so many guys restore old trucks and they put these beautiful wood grain beds in them that you don't want to touch, you don't want to put anything in them. Those are unusable too.
I suppose,
these are
but
amazing.
People didn't buy these. I mean, you wouldn't even want to put your golf clubs in the back of this thing.
I love the wood detail in the truck bed. On the outside, the exterior wood, it's like, these are cool. When I see these on the road, I get excited.
I think they had 4 captain's chairs as well, so there wasn't even like a second row bench because they're kind of making it like the Navigator. But they sold only 3,000 of them. They were $52,000 back in 2001 or whatever it was when they did this. Back in 2001,
no, I mean
that
the production, 3,000 of them.
Yeah, because it was too expensive back then. That was a ton of money, and it wasn't practical. So didn't work. Obviously, the Mark LT came back, and that was more successful because they made it more trucky, more usable, and now we have luxury trucks everywhere, but they don't mess with the bed.
Right.
Yeah, people still like, they buy a truck, they want to use the truck.
Right.
I get people have show cars and all that stuff like you're talking about, but if you're buying a new truck, even though people almost never use the truck beds for anything, they're still buying a truck because like, one day I'm gonna haul home that armoire or something, you know. Yeah. So the Maybach is on here as well.
Interesting. Is this your generation Maybach?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes, the Maybach's return. I mean, they're absolutely right. These were so expensive. They were mine, you know, almost $500,000, and they didn't look that different from an S-Class. They didn't seem that fancy. Right. And Rolls-Royce came out with their Phantom, and that looked fancy. That looked amazing for the money. Actually, a little bit less for like the fully compared to like a Maybach 62. So they got smoked.
Right.
So yeah, definitely a fail, but I love mine. Pontiac Aztec is definitely on here, along with the Pontiac GTO, which is kind of sad because that was
this is a newer generation of them. Yeah.
Yep. So the Pontiac GTO, they're trying to save the company
with
these Hail Mary passes.
It looks awful. They could have like tried to get some style cues from the OG, and they did not on this one.
Yeah, they tried, but they were working with a bad platform. The Scion and Toyota IQ, the little city car, it didn't really work in the U.S. The Vector is another one where...
What's this? Elliot said they're selling one of these at his...
We've had a few at Barrett-Jackson too, so they're talking about different versions. So there was a Vector where they redid Lamborghini Diablos into these crazy things, and that's one we had at Barrett-Jackson.
Right.
This one, I think, is the original, and $125,000 for something with a Chevy V8 that really wasn't put together all that well. But they made a couple of different tries, but they never really made it, the Vector, because it just looked...
here's their big mistake. I'll go back to that picture. When I've shot with cars back in the day, I worked for Maxim Magazine for a long time, and we were shooting an ad for the Nissan Juke, and they said, whatever you do, don't touch the steering wheel, don't be in the driver's side, because it needs to be a man's car. And here the Vector, you see the lady on the driver's side.
I thought you were going to say she needed to be naked, and not like in a ski jumpsuit.
Stop it.
But I guess she's supposed to be like in a spacesuit or whatever. But it could be like a string bikini spacesuit.
Yeah, of course, to keep her, you know, her oxygen in her suit. A bikini makes sense. Yeah.
So that's maybe a little ahead of its time as far as like a crazy looking thing. But I think
they're really cool.
I looked it up close, and the quality just wasn't there.
Right.
I think that was the big thing, where it just looked like a kit car up close, and people are spending $100,000 for it. So the last one on this list is Jake's Volkswagen Phaeton.
Well, not
you've sold it now, right? It's gone. Jake has sold it now. But he got a free Volkswagen Phaeton from a porn star that emailed me. And I was not interested in collaborating with the porn star to make it. So so he emailed back and forth with the porn star and got himself a Phaeton. But yeah, definitely, making a very expensive 12-cylinder Volkswagen, sharing its basically platform with the Bentley Continental GT.
Right. There's a lot of room inside for those kind of activities that you were just mentioning.
Very impressive. Yeah. Very high quality.
When I got in, I was surprised and actually very comfortable. It was very luxurious inside. It kind of had like footrests going on. The seats surrounded you. It's a really neat car. It's
just for the price point, you could get a 7 Series, maybe not an S-Class. I mean, what they were competing against, and then their own Audis and things like, the Volkswagen badge on there is what killed it.
Right. So out of this list, which one do you think doesn't deserve to be on here? I'm going with. I mean, I get why the Blackwood's on there, but I would.
It was a dud. It was definitely a dud.
Those.
I mean, the Envoy is weird that they're doing an offshoot of a model, but I do feel like all of these are pretty big duds as far as sales for the companies. So yes.
But
definitely.
Sometimes when you have a dud, that raises the value. Like the Superbird kind of was a dud, and they didn't make a lot of them. People thought they were ugly, and now they're worth, if you got a Hemi, almost $1 million. Right around there.
I don't see any future classics in that list.
No. None on here.
Don't think
Not the Aztec?
No.
The Aztec is not a future classic. That's what we learned today on April's Garage. Thanks so much for watching.
Maybe.
No way.
Somebody has an Aztec with 100 miles going across the block in 20 years, and somebody buys it as a joke. I don't know.
No.
Yeah.